I'm Senator Bob Huff. Thanks for joining me for my Capitol comment for the week of February 18th, 2013. We have a deadline coming up this Friday. It's called Bill Introduction Deadline. Now, a lot of people are kind of wanting to know what's going to be happening, what's the bill's focus on. Well, while we're thinking about that, you're at home working on taxes, right? You have an appointment with your tax person. Maybe you've been there already. Certainly a different level at the federal government. We're popped up a couple of percent there. We have new taxes here in California approved by the voters. And so the pro tem has said, quote, "The voters do not want us, with our supermajority, to burst out of the gate to approve more taxes." Well, evidently, the members didn't get that message. And in fact, Senator Steinberg's own chair of budget, Senator Leno, has introduced a $2 billion oil extraction fee tax. Now, you know, they always call it loopholes and whatever else. He'll tell you we're the only state that doesn't have an oil extraction fee, but won't go on to say that we're taxed in about the middle of the pack of oil-producing states. And so what this does is it threatens jobs. The oil companies say that if you raise this tax, it will put us way above every other state. It'll be easier for us to produce oil in other states, and so we will lose jobs as well as the oil that's under our soil. So perhaps not the best way to go, but that's something to be sorted out. In the Assembly, the head of the Democrat so-called moderate caucus has introduced $2.3 billion in car taxes. Now, some of these things, as we get more detail about what's happening, we'll find out that perhaps there's some bad policy that's getting taken care of, and the cost is a little higher tax. Some of those things you and I might agree with. But the point is, there is a hungry appetite to raise taxes. Split roll property tax, that's called a loophole where we ought to be taxing. The Democrats say the commercial properties at a higher rate than the residential properties. You know, this is part of the dialogue that happens in Sacramento. Are they going to do it this year? Who knows? They're always talking about it. There's 8 new constitutional amendments that would lower the threshold to 55% for raising taxes or bonds at the local level. Some are parcel taxes, some is a threshold for bonds. But the point is, when we get through our 7 years of temporary taxes and we can't sustain government, we will then tell the local government, hey, you guys have the tools to raise your own taxes. You go ahead and do it. Well, that's not a path that anybody can really support. Now, the governor's also called for restraint, and he quoted a French writer from the 16th century in one of his speeches early this year. The writer's name was Montaigne, who said, quote, "The most desirable laws are those that are the rarest, simplest, and most general. And I even think it would be better to have none at all than to have them in such numbers as we have," end quote. Well, 4,800 bills have been being massaged and put into legislative language by our legal team. Not all of those will be introduced, but it just shows you a sense that these are not rare and they are not few. I'm Senator Bob Huff. Thanks for joining me for my Capitol comment.